guys, BBI here. I want to stop and say thanks for tuning in and checking out whatever the video is about that's about ready to come up next. If you could take a minute and hit subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy what you've seen here, make sure to hit the like button. We'd greatly appreciate your support. Anyhow, guys, all that aside, let's get on with the show. Because one is none and two is one. It's been the theme of my day. So this is the first in a whole bunch of different videos I'm going to do this week on just sb220s. You're going to get to see, but they're actually spent all day yesterday and most of today going through another sb220 that was nowhere near as nice as this. I spent most of yesterday with rubber gloves on, scrubbing the cigarette stain slash brown butthole jizz that was smeared all over the inside of this other amp. Got it all cleaned up and pretty and beautified, like this one here. As far as looks go, had to completely un-F the bottom side of the deck. Got everything right, had to replace the capacitor bank, had to rebuild the high voltage board. We ended up mono banding it, and in the process of setting up the input network for the mono band, because we bypassed the band switch in the front, my absolute precious, this thing here, this is my most valuable piece of test equipment that I own, which I covered thoroughly in the video that I shot earlier today, but wasn't allowed to finish that video. My KC901, this little guy here, my precious, got damaged. I had some kind of voltage issue, spike, static electricity on the soldering iron, something went in and wiped out this analyzer. The closest thing to this that does all the different things this does in your guys' world that you're used to looking at would be like the AA1200. And even that doesn't allow me to do frequency sweep and all the other stuff that this does. I mean, this is signal generators, a ton of shit in this thing. But the way I was using it was I had it set 100 megahertz wide, and I could sit there and I can tune my resonant dip, right? So I want it to be resonant here. Well, it does that. It updates the screen every half second. So it's constantly, and it's giving me a new data plot. So as I move the resonancy over by changing capacitance and the inductor, I can track it right onto the spot. I don't have another tool in this shop that does that. Even the Zunes, they kind of give you that graph, but you got to hit start every single time, and it doesn't work out very well. This one here was my saving grace. This one here. This was the very first one I got, and within about a week it quit. My fault. I did it. I accidentally dumped 75 watts into the input of this thing and blew this section out. This is called source. This is the one that does the sending signal, does a return, listen, whole 9 yards. This source line, I blew it completely out of this unit. But this saves me. The signal generator on this still works, and the spectrum analyzer on this thing still works, and the TDR on this still works, and the OTDR, and that all works still in this unit. But when this quit, first I went through a small little freak out phase because it lives in this nice little case, and I love it to death. Now, believe me, this is leading someplace. Believe me, hold in there with me, guys. I know I talk a lot. I know. I had a small little freak out, had a meltdown, tried to call my business partner, couldn't raise him for dead. Still haven't heard anything from him. I hope he's okay. And so then I called my other buddy Zane, because I had to vent. I had to let it out, dude. I was like, what the F? What the F? Oh, what the F? You know, I was a little pissed, a little upset. My buddy Zane owns one of these, and he loves it. It's just so expensive and so delicate that he can't like drag it outside to set SWRs with it. Although I do, I take it, in this case, and I'll literally climb up on somebody's roof with the antenna and adjust everything with this, because it shows me a lot more information than any of the Rig Expert equipment, anything else I found in the market. I paid $1,900 for this. This thing here, this is the one I paid $1,900 for. I sent it back to China. And if you know anything about China's address system over there, I don't know how they get anything done. DHL couldn't figure out how to deliver this, and I had a full address and everything. It was confirmed by DSpace. They ended up sending it back. DSpace, after looking at my paperwork and recognizing I spent nearly $399 to have this thing returned back to China under warranty, they just sent me a new one. Bless you, you guys. I love this piece of equipment. I've yet to find anything else that's in the market that has the amount of capabilities and flexibility and use functions that this thing has. It's worth every penny. This particular unit new is now down to $1,399. So, with this thing being down, I had a mental breakdown. And I said, just F it, and I quit working on everything. The amp literally fought me the entire way yesterday. Nothing went right. Every single time I thought I had something worked out on that little sb220 yesterday, it said it'd come back, it'd run for a few minutes, and then quit. So this morning I get up, and I take this completely apart. After I take pictures, and I call or a message to Space, and I say, can you please let me know what the availability on a replacement board is, blah, 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 blah. Yet to hear back from them. It's China time, I don't know. I start doing some testing, because I'm a fairly retarded individual, and I can handle doing minuscule tasks like sweeping a floor and pushing a jizz mop. So I get out my other workbench equipment, and I go finding the source. Now, there's no schematics or nothing on this online. So I go to hunting the signal pathway. And I'm here to tell you, after robbing, and I'm just literally creating a diagram in my head and writing stuff down on paper, I figured out how this whole circuit works. There's a little IC, and then another little op amp, and then another final amplifier. So then split off of that, they've got a little ballon, or not a ballon, a little splitter, a little signal splitter. It's like, oh, it's about this big. There's a little signal splitter. So you've got a transmitter unit, and then through this signal splitter, on the other side, you got a receiver. And I went, oh, okay, I get it. So, oh, ding, light came on. So then I understood what it was after working on radios most of my younger adult years. I was like, okay. So I very quickly figured out that whatever happened, the amount of signal coming back in wiped out this 3.3 ohm resistor, this 4.3 ohm resistor. Now, according to my transistor tester, this little three-legged device, which you'd assume to be a transistor, is a, see how what did the device tester tell me it was? Multi-color LED enclosed light switch. It's transistor. It's just that screwed up. This is a linear op-amp line something or other. It's just a PMP transistor. And then this little 600 volt protection diode. Wiped all these out. This little resistor is low in resistance. It's like 2 point something ohms instead of 3 point something ohms. The next step from this is the little 26 leg IC that puts out the signal. Doom, doom, doom. That generates the little bit of signal that then gets kicked up and then amplified up to about 300 millivolts or milliwatts for us to do our antenna analyzer with. Well, me being a smart filler, I recognize that the IC in here, the whole circuit here is good. It's the IC chip that went down in this one, come to find out. Because once I figured out how this one worked, I went and I took this one apart. All these years I thought it was my fault, and I just said it was my fault. Come to find out it wasn't my fault. The IC chip went bad in this. So all of these, that's like a freaking sand. Look at this. Look. My good friend Zane, I called him up freaking out. And he's like, dude, this isn't a problem. Because he knows I'm stuck. I use this about 30 times a week on so many different projects. And what I had lined out for this week, because I'm not going to lie, I don't even have a mother effing chunk 250B around here anymore. I get rid of them all. I'm like, get the crap out of here. A 12-year-old kid can solder better than them goddamn dudes. I got rid of all that shit. I don't even have any of that shit up in here, which is stupid because I don't even have even a slight shitty redundant secondary source of being able to do the same kind of thing. So once I realized I had parts, I had a 1 chance to get it right. So I sat here with my hot air system and I went in the house and I got my very, very, very finest, nicest tweezers that I own, which are actually really, really nice, and shaved them down so they were perfectly fit for the part. I sat there with my hot air system and I took each part off, tested it, verified that it worked and it was within tolerance, and then put it back into here. Now, because we have a signal generating source here and here, and we have a signal generating source and a receiver here and here, with the use of one piece of coax and some internal software on this thing, it allows you to do a complete diagnostic on the unit. I was able to, after making it work and demonstrating to myself that I was on the right path, replace the right parts, and I've got this one working within 0.003 of what they consider to be factory standard, or otherwise acceptable. That was my morning and my evening last night. Incredibly stressful. On top of that, this computer over here, which I do all my video editing on, it's sitting there and it looks like it's running, right? But I have had a massive CPU and memory failure in this thing to the point where I had to just decide I'm going to buy a whole new computer. This thing has really been limiting me for the last 2 years, 3 years on software issues anyhow, as far as video rendering goes. So I'm here to tell you, my wife informed me that she's never seen anybody actually build their own computer. And I was like, what? My first computer was a VIC-20. I built it from a kit. I really wanted to play Oregon Trail just like we did in school. I'm not kidding you. I built it from a kit, through hole soldered and the whole 9 yards. The next computer I had was a 33, well, it was a Commodore 64, and then I had a 33 megahertz and a 63 megahertz computer, and then 166 or 188 or whatever it was. I jumped right up. I felt like a big dog when I had a 360 megahertz computer, and then I started buying prefab machines. So I decided I went and I consulted several of my computer friends, and they all encouraged me that it is time for me to go ahead and re-grasp the swing and get back on the tightrope, and I'm going to build my own computer. All the parts are here except for the case. It's amazing. I got on Amazon and ordered up everything I want. So I think we went with an AMD 32 something, AMD 18 or whatever it is. I don't know. It's got like 32 or 30 something processors in it. But I wanted to be able to do full up video motion. So we're going to see some huge changes here as far as what I can do with video. And the other thing is I've got this high-end camera and I'm tired of shooting in lower resolutions, and I'm tired of not being able to do full capture. So I spent the money to facilitate that, which was very needed. So the production company is going to have to take that out of their budget. I don't know who's going to pay. It's me. Who am I kidding? It's me at this point. So between that and the network analyzer quitting on me, this happened earlier this last week. This thing here, it decided when New Year's came around and I was sitting there trying to render the 32 pill video. The 3-hour video took let's see, I started on it at 6 o'clock at night in the rendering process, and it didn't spit out of the computer until 4:30 the next morning. So 11 something hours, 10 and a half something hours to render 3 hours worth of video. It is what it is. So in the interim, I got to kind of keep the videos a little bit short because the processing power is taking a long time, and I can't make any kind of guarantees on how quickly I'm going to be able to spit the videos out. The case gets here, I think Thursday or Friday. Once that happens, then I'll be on the new computer, and I'll be right back into full business again after I take a day and learn how to use everything. So the sb220 from this morning, let's talk about it. I get all the way down to the final end of the thing, and sitting there not doing anything, it was perfectly happy. I tuned and loaded it and got it to run, got the input tuned down, and I set the amp down from being on its side like this, and I reached over and I turned the switch off, and the glitch choke exploded. And I went, uh-oh. So I go and I check all my rectifying diodes, they're all good. I check all my bias circuit. It was not good, because when the glitch choke went down, the high voltage tried to find ground. It jumped over to the zener on the back side of the case here, wiped the zener out, and smacked the center filament, or center tap on the filament transformer, which is a direct line directly back to the anodes, or no, the cathode, on the inside of the tube. My tubes are fine. I thought, all right. So I replaced my glitch resistor, which is here, which I'm going to have to do on this one as well. And I went and I tore my whole capacitor bank apart and checked it, and it all tested out fine. So I took and I popped the lead off the capacitor bank, and then I popped the lead off of the board, because I had the whole thing apart, and turned it back on. And that's when I start hearing real soft. I went, oh no. I already knew what it was. I already knew what it was. I could hear it, and I just sat there. And it goes, jet of smoke. Blew the plate transformer. It melted itself to the core. Now this amplifier had a rough life. And when you guys see the video, you're going to be like, oh my God. Every diode in that box had been replaced, I think, no more than 3-4 times. The plate chokes were all obliterated. The thing has had a rough life. But after 2 days of working on it, and the plate transformer went toast, and the meter went bad, and I'm trying to avoid getting hepatitis off the cabinet. I called the guy, I said, man, look, and then on top of that, I hate to break it to you, but your high voltage meter, your multi-purpose meter, is also dick in the dirt. He was into this amp for almost next to nothing, and at this point he's sunk almost $1,000 into it, into time and labor, rebuilding things, modifying things. It was $600 and some, and now he's going to be into a new plate transformer. It's absolutely not my fault. Just discouraging. Big giant time suck. So this is video number 1. This comes from a friend of mine down in Arizona. And this thing is in wonderful shape compared to the other one. I am touching it with bare hands. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I'm like sitting here spraying the inside of the RF deck down with Windex, and we're watching. I got a video literally where I spray it down, and I do time lapse, and over like 5 minutes, the brown from up here goes and runs down to the floor of the cabinet. It was gross. I'm here to tell you. But we got it all running, except for now the plate transformers decided to fail. It had a rough life. Poor little thing. So this is an amateur guy. The last one was for a C-beer. This one's for a ham guy. He sent this up for me to go through it top to bottom because he wanted to make sure it worked and everything is good. So I'm standing here talking to you. I'm looking right down in here because I'm starting my visual evaluation of things. The bottom side is beautiful. As they say, her tits are up just like a 20-year-old girl. You know, they haven't turned into bunny slopes yet. Eventually turn into biker boobs. It's just the way it is. Just like udders on a cow, they eventually start sagging a little bit. Nothing we can do about it. It's called life. And I'm not judging because my B cups are starting to hang too. So, We're going to come back, we're going to check our chokes, we're going to ground our grids, we'll do all that kind of stuff. This looks good. The cap looks a little iffy, so we got to check that. It's currently wired 110 with a 220, but slightly bastardized, into a 110 plug. What I mean by that is this plug is normally orientated this way. It's been twisted back that way, but it is jumpered for 220. All right, down in here is a little 22K resistor that we always look at with these things. Put down in here. And we look down in there for a reason, because what happens is if you go over about 230, maybe 220 watts, I tell everybody 220 to be safe. Anything more than about 220 watts worth of drive in any band, it doesn't matter. That resistor will go up in smoke and amp will quit working. It's there for a reason. So I look in there and I go, oh, it's stock. This is a kit-built amp. This was not built by the factory, but who put it together actually cared. And you can tell by the way it was wired on the bottom, and you can tell by the interest and attention that was paid in here. Okay. One thing I did notice when I was playing around with it here just a second ago is our glitch choke here. This is nowhere near stock, but let's see here. Let me zoom down in on this. By the way, I hope you guys can appreciate the new lights. I spent several $100s here just last week, and I upgraded all of my lights in here. They are now LED. We went from focus here. Went from incandescence. This is what I've used to light up every YouTube video previous to this one, as far as you guys know. These little tiny incandescent bulbs. And I've hung them from the ceiling. Needless to say, right after Christmas, I've had to poop like $3 grand out of my business here to continue forward every day. But that's okay. That's what we do. It's just, it is what it is. Stands for constantly buying. I went from pulling 8.9 amps to turn on the lights just over the workbench to half an amp by going to high-speed LEDs. It's a little bit wider than what I'm used to, but I'm getting used to it. I'm adapting. This is what we're looking at here. That won't work. We're going to replace it with one of these, because that's not the proper part. So I explained in the last video that you guys haven't seen yet. I go on this big long talk about glitch resistors and how important they are and what they do and how they work. We'll replace it with one of these. The actual 2-spec part. They're the shock absorber. They're the weakest link engineered, designed there for a reason. It's not something that you want to mess with. You go too far above actual factory spec and it's going to totally mess up how the meters work on almost every single aspect, and it's going to create a whole bunch of dangerous issues. We do not put a wire inducted anything here around our resistor. This is fatal. Fatal for the amp and fatal for the end user if there's an issue. The glitch resistor failed on that last box for a reason. Okay. Internally there was a short causing a huge differentiation in voltage. That resistor popped for a reason. It was trying to say, slow down, pay attention, there's something wrong. So let's get started. Let's pull off the wedding ring, set it aside. It's trying to tell me there was a problem. So if this resistor is popped, maybe it's also trying to tell me it's a problem. So let's slow down. We're going to look at everything. These are not the stock case screws. Okay, none of these are. I want to pull off this side. Hold on. This is the first one that I've worked on in probably 2 years that didn't look like it had a hernia up the side of the amp case. What happens, you guys, if you don't double box your sb220 and you send it across the country, these things came as a kit. the transformer was not inside the case. The case is made of paper thin vaginal aluminum, right? Well, if you've ever been in any automated assembly place ever, or watched any video on YouTube where they show boxes going through any kind of automated system, you'll see that gravity has a tendency to be very strong in affecting way things move through the system. The heaviest portion of the amp is always this back corner. It's always bent in, and the transformer always lays over. Well, the one yesterday had probably a 1/2 inch that was hanging out here. I've got video of it where I stand the amp on its side, and I've got a little piece of wood, a block of wood that I put on here, and I banged every single one of these things back together the same way. I got myself a big old shot hammer, I put it on here, and whack! It pops it back straight. It doesn't hurt nothing, but I mean, it's just, this is the only one I've ever had show up here in a couple years. And the reason it's not bent is because it was brought to me by my good friend Rodan on the Rodney Express. Rodan moves stuff back and forth all over the country for me and one other gentleman, and we love you for it, Rodney. Thank you very much, buddy. So we got an unbent. She's unbent. This has a 1990s recap capacitor bank in it. In the 90s, you could go out and buy these caps. They got the gray body on them, the gray wrap on the outside. Previous to that is the clears. So, yeah. I don't think we have a short here. So very quickly, we'll run up through the diode bank on the front end of this thing with our voltmeter and diode check. So let's reposition and let's do that. Hey, can one of you guys in video land remind me that I need to resolder the output coax next to the relay? I seen it. Its attachment point was cracked, which could turn into a ground loop, and it'll just take just a second to fix. So somebody out there somehow managed to remind me of this after I'm done. Good. 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 Ooh, they're strong. 5.26. Good. Good. Not leaking. Good. Not leaking. Not leaking. Not leaking. Good. And not leaking. Good. Not leaking. Okay. So very quickly we'll run through, we'll take a look at our bias diodes, which there are 8. 555. It'll show us nothing. 550, which is good. It's within 5%. Not leaking, which is good. We'll start on our second row. Not leaking, which is good. .555, which is good. 543. It's a little bit off, but it's okay. 544. All right, so this should turn out to be 1 ohm. It's 1 ohm on the money. Here, I'll turn it around for your viewing pleasure as well. It should be 1 ohm. This one should be a couple K, like 3.5. Close enough for the girls I dance with. Let's see, what do I got from one edge of bridge to the other? 9 meg, this is what we're supposed to have. From this bridge, we're supposed to have, once again, about 9 meg. Now we're going to fight the capacitors a little bit. We're good enough. And if my memory serves me, this is going to be in the 300 range. Okay, 5.6. Is that correct? $560. 5,600 ohms, or 5.6K. Okay. Whole board checks out. Let's do our glitch resistor. It's a 1 ohm resistor, but then they went and wrapped it with a bunch of shit. Oh well, it's replaced. 1.5 ohm in place. Band switch looks okay. Of course, we won't know until we get to tester. All right, let's take a look for at the bottom. What you guys think? Want to join me on the journey? Here we go. Oh, I got some fun ones coming up here tomorrow. The rest of this week's gonna be fun. It's gonna be sb220 heaven. I need space, is what it boils down to. Back to diode check. Let's come check our single phase rectifier. We're good there. This guy here. This here. Good to go. Electrolytic looks good. I could break that whole capacitor bank down for the other side of the doubler. Or we can just watch it and look for breakdown leak voltage as we bring it up on the variac, which is what I'm going to do. So that's good. That's good. All right, glitch choke. This is your output glitch choke. You know, and the reason this is here is to catch, let's say your blocking capacitor blows up, breaks down, opens up, lets voltage through it, whatever. You know, we use that principle real heavily, that AC capacitor, and a DC can't, okay? So we use that blocking cap. So on one side of the blocking cap, you've got your RF, which is an AC signal, and then you've got your DC voltage, your high voltage, and then you're gonna use that cap. You're gonna separate, hold, that's gonna be kind of like the dam that holds back the river of DC voltage and current. And on the other side, you're gonna have your AC signal. The AC signal can pass through that cap. Well, because there's a continuous piece of metal, except for UHF and VHF amplifiers, and upper in frequency, where you're gonna have a separation there between your tune and your load components, because you're gonna do a thing called air induction. Another conversation, another day. Well, we all seen it in that little 2-meter amplifier I just did. It's kind of cool. But on your HF equipment, you have to have a glitch choke here, because if that cap breaks down, you want to protect yourself from having the ability to dump high voltage out the back of the cabinet. So after you get done at your load, this dips off the back of the load and drops over to the relay. You want to have a non-resonant choke. Once again, we're going to play the principle that RF will only take the path of least resistance. So you take this choke with a very, very high winding to it, way out of resonant path, like 900 to 1, right? 1000 to 1. RF doesn't want to go this way, but your high voltage sure will, and it's the shorter path to ground than going all the way out, finding its way out the antenna and coming back down and hurting somebody. This is a shorter path to ground, and this will drop it to the cabinet, blowing out your glitch choke. Okay. It's the same principle that's being applied over here with these two wire wound inductors. These two chokes here, if they're way out of resonance, it don't matter, they're not going to be in there in 5 minutes. They're just not going to be there. Get rid of them. So this is what I was noticing. Is this here? Hold on. is this here. This little clip piece goes around the coax connector. Yeah, that's only being held in there by freaking wishes and dreams and sad broken futures of Chinese factory workers. Otherwise it's being held in there with happiness and just yummy thoughts of trying to figure out how we're going to go about getting conductivity. So let's go ahead and we'll solder that up here real quick, and let's ground our grids. So I'm going to tell you a story as I sit here and ground the grids. See this box? See this box here? The box for a 3500Z tube. I knew that that had an amplifier that went along with it. Here's the problem. The guy's contact information's on that box. So follow along with me here. It's going to be a little bit of a story. He says to me, I call him, hey man. He goes, yeah man. I said, wasn't there an amplifier to one of these tubes? He goes, yes it was. You signed for it. I said, great. Can you describe it for me? Shit got separated. His tubes and the amp got separated from each other, and I was trying to locate the amplifier. He goes, sure. It's got a green face and a green body. I said, green face and green body? He goes, yeah man. Green face, green body. Green face, green body. So, okay, man. I'll start looking for it. I literally have an amplifier in this shop that is painted forest green. And I thought, I know right where that amplifier's at. So it's an sb220 and it's painted forest green. And I went, oh damn. Here it is. So I go over and I dig it out. And this one's got contact information on it, and it no match. I was like, this no match what I needed. So I've got like 20 sb220s in here right now, literally. And I thought, shit, I better go get the master control of everything. So I went and I got my wife, you know, the boss. She's actually the one that handles everything that comes in and comes out. And she is actually the one that handles really what I'm going to be doing the next day. So I said, woman, I said, see box? She goes, yes, I see box. And I said, these boxes, they've got an amplifier. They're somewhere in this room. I cannot find. Help me find. One of the other things that he told me was a characteristic of the amp, I says, there's no other distinguishing marks, no stickers, no nothing. As at some point, this thing was beautiful, mint, virginal, and fresh, as they all start out life to be. And he says that in shipping, UPS or FedEx or whoever, the shipbox kickers, managed to put a forklift fork through the bottom of the amplifier. So once we couldn't find one with a green cabinet, we went and, I mean, the tremendous amount of shit that we moved up in this joint yesterday, in the morning, started yesterday early. I started load stacking the workout for the week early in the morning. Like I'm out here calling people like 6 o'clock in the morning. Because I'm really wanting to get a jump on this week. I mean, shit, I got a computer and a freaking brand new network analyzer that I bought last night that I have to pay for here. No, I want space. I want space in this room back. I want to be able to walk through my room and not have to, like, play hopscotch, you know? If that makes any sense. So, I said this week I'm going to see how many sb220s I could get finished. Well, here we are. We're on amp number 2 on the second day. So we look at every flipping amp, move all this stuff, because you got to remember I got room on the shelves for like 300 amps. And that's full. The shelves in front of the shelves are full. I'm full, okay? So we're out here very diligently fondling the bottom side of each one of the amplifiers, trying to find one that's got a hole in the bottom of it. So, no joy. I called dude back. I said, hey man. He goes, yeah man. Hey dude. So I'm having a hell of a time trying to find your amplifier here. Now, please note I haven't lost one yet to date, and I don't plan on ever losing one. I've had a couple close scares. Don't get me wrong. Had a couple very close scares where I thought I had lost it and then come to find out it was in a box or something. And dude says to me, all right. And I said, dude, please, for the love of God, describe your amplifier to me one more time. So this time around, I stop him and I ask him, I said, so do you mean the stock green case or you mean the stock gray color? Because to me, the cabinet is a gray, more of a gray than it is green. And he goes, no, it's a stock color. And I'm like, oh. And I said, yeah, you said it has a hole in it. And he goes, it doesn't have a hole in it. I said, what do you mean? He goes, the box I shipped it in does not have a hole in it. I said, yeah, but you sent it up here because UPS put a forklift through the bottom of it. He goes, yeah. And I said, so the box got a hole in it. He goes, no, the box that I shipped it up in there is fine. It was beautiful. It was packaged in the same kind of plastic and bag that the tubes were packaged in. And I went, oh. I said, it doesn't have a hole in it? And he goes, well, what, the box? And I said, the amp doesn't have a hole in it. And he goes, well, okay, so there's a funny story that goes along with this, is what he says to me. And I'm like, oh my. I spent 2.5 hours looking for an sb220 yesterday. So, he says, I took the armor off and I took it to a local auto body shop here and asked them, and I've got him on speaker so my wife and I can hear him talking, because we're both now way invested in this little scavenger hunt, okay? He says, I took it to a local auto body shop to see if they could have it welded up. He told me no, it was too thin, it wasn't anything he could handle. And I'm standing there chuckling, and my wife's like, what are you laughing about? I point over at my giant Miller welder. It's like, have it welded in 2 seconds. With a smile on my face. She's like, okay, honey, sure you could. No, really, I can. Mm-hmm. She pats me on the shoulder like, okay, back on task, dear. He goes, so I left it with him overnight to see if he could work something out. He managed to straighten it out pretty good and get it all cleaned up. So no, there's not actually a hole in the bottom of the cabinet. The things that he told me to identify the amplifier by? Yeah. What I did take away from that conversation is I held my finger up as kind of like a, pay attention you guys. As he says to me, the most important thing that he said out of that whole sentence was that they are packaged, it is packaged in the same style of bag and plastic that the tubes are in. I said, can you give me any more maybe possible identifying info? He says, oh yeah. There's a book and the instruction manual and the full schematics taped right to the top of the amplifier. I said, okay, call you back. I hang the phone up, I look at my wife and she goes, I think it's sitting at your foot. And she wasn't kidding, it was literally sitting on the shelf at my left foot. Called dude back, said, found it, don't worry about it, we're going to get to it later this week. It was the only sb220 I had sitting in my shop that was packaged in a plastic bag with a book. And sure enough, we dig it out, move 15 things, get it dug out, we open up the book, and there's all his contact information inside the book. I looked at the amp 3 times, and because it didn't have a green cabinet on it, and it didn't have a hole in it, we said not it and moved on to the next one. In situations where you want to grab the guy by the collar and say, young man, come down here, we must have a talk. We're going to take you out behind the shed with a frickin' hose and beat you. This I have. These are royally expensive anymore. Royally. Look, this one's actually got protection diodes on the meter movements. Right on. Okay. It's not looking too promising there. This plate meter is good. Here. Don't half-ass test it, Luke. Go all the way with it. Alright, so grab up the cabinet. Come on, move, girl. Don't let Daddy down. Nope. Okay. I'm going to go with that. It's not working properly at the moment. So, let's test our bulbs. Good. The reason that story was interesting was because in the process of moving things around, I did this huge overhaul on the shop here not too long ago. And when I did the overhaul on the shop, a bunch of stuff got put away and put in bins, and we cleaned out a bunch of stuff. And we apparently one of the things that happened was that we took this amplifier that you're looking at now, and for some reason it got shuffled off and put underneath my third workbench over here. And was down underneath by my bandsaw. Which is bad. And it was sitting in a little cardboard box. We pulled that cardboard box out and I was like, man, look at this! It's a band switch. I thought this was my meter box. So I had to call this guy. I felt so bad. I was like, dude, I am so sorry. It's a plate meter. We might be SOL on a new lens for this guy. The meter movement's good on that. So this is what I was looking for. So when you put this thing on resistance, put your voltmeter on resistance, it should come up about halfway. Which this one's not moving. So, worst comes to worse. Worst comes to worse. We'll change that out. Because I know somewhere in here I've got a decent set of meter, the actual mechanism. So that one's totally frozen. Might have to take some junk ball parts and make some not so junk ball-y looking meters. But we'll get it working. Not so hot. Okay, well, at least we're able to get him a decent looking lens. And there's a guy in Europe that buys these things from time to time, and he strips them all apart and sells them for parts. I'm constantly buying these things from him. Plate amperes. This is for an sb200. That one's for a 220. This is a decent looking meter, but it's got a crack right through the glass down here at the bottom. These meters are not cheap because there are no new ones. It's a full knob set that's new. Okay, sorry. I bought 3 other newer sb220s like this that have all got different problems with them, and I'm going to completely scrap them for parts. I mean, literally rip them down to their base. I've got 2 totes that are just full of interior pieces. Side panels, back panels, the lid piece, the back strut support, the cap and holders, the base plate. I stripped these down to nothing because there's no parts to be had. Like anywhere. Like anywhere. Quantec. We got a light glow. Tells me my filament transformer's good. Plate transformer's good. We're going to do our capacitors a big favor and just come into them real slow. Around 100 volts, 105, 110, 115. Come around, we'll hit it in the other direction. That needle's bent. All right, away we go. We're at 95, 90, 100, 105, 110, 115. Good. All right. We're good. Wow, bleeders are working good. Okay. As far as voltages go, there's about 3 other things I got to check real quick. And that requires a separate setup. Okay, so we're on the bottom side, and I call this my bob test. I talk about it in the last video I shot earlier today. This nice gentleman, really super nice guy. His name's Bob. Bob owns a lot of car washes, and he's trying to figure out how to get his sb220 working without shipping it here. And I told him, well, do you got bias flop? He goes, what? I said, you have bias flop. And so then I go and explain to him what you're looking for. So the way a tube works, this particular style of tube, 3500Z, is that it's going to amplify, okay? But it's got cutoff voltages that are applied to it, okay? So there's two things that happen here at the base of the tube. And I was trying to explain this to Bob on the phone. He was having a hard time visualizing it. So I'm going to go over it again in this video, and it's going to be in the other video in more detail. But I want Bob to be able to see this, okay? We're looking for two things. There is an AC and a DC signal that are present on the filament pins, okay? Everything is perfect with his amp, except I think his bias has gone bad on him. So, oh, no, I got it. I completely rebuilt that board 15 times all the way through on Sunday. It's great. What I want to see is something very specific at the tubes, and I'm going to show you the sequence of events to which we need to check and look for on the bottom of the amp. There are no tubes in this, okay? The amp does not care if it's got tubes in it or not to perform this test. Well, actually, for most tests, actually, you don't even need to have the tubes in here at all. If you've got the right capacitors and a couple resistors, you can totally simulate the tube in its presence in operation without even having a tube in there, and you can totally set the whole box up. That's in tomorrow's class, by the way. Let's go ahead, we'll turn this on. So we've got our positive and negative leads hooked up this way for a reason. Positive on the back, negative on the front. Okay, this is the front of the amplifier to us. So this is our filament voltage. Volts AC, okay? So we have 5.3 volts. Now I put the tubes in there, it's gonna drop a little bit. It'll be right around 5 volts, okay? It's an unregulated supply. Put tubes in there, a little bit of a load, couple amps, like what, 24 of them. It's gonna drop a little bit. So what we do is we take this lead off, we clip it to the case. Now it's going to show us exactly half of our voltage because we're only metering half the transformer's output from the filament. But now we're going to take our meter and we're going to put it into DC. And you'll notice that there's 123 volts worth of DC love. That voltage is there to keep the tubes at cutoff. Otherwise the tubes can't do anything unless you bring this DC voltage off the tubes. We step on a pedal. We dropped to about 4.6. We put the tubes in there, it'll be about 4.4, 4.49, 4.51, somewhere in there. Depending on how much voltage you have on the anode. The only way that you can get to the cathode without it being in a 3CX design, okay, so you get your anode, top of the tube, cathode, the bottom side of the tube. The only way that you can let the electrons flow up the anode and have access to that is from the cathode. And the only place that we're going to be able to grab up the cathode on the outside of the tube on a 3CX style of triode is going to be at the center tap of the filament transformer. Okay, that's going to bring us up into class AB, I do believe. It's been a minute since I had to think about that. I had to think about that term for a second. That's perfect. That's what we're looking for. So I call it the Bob test now. I think I learned this one from Yellow Jacket, actually. And then it was reinforced to me by Prime. And then also reinforced to me by Shockwave. So I'm one of those guys you got to tell me once, tell me twice, tell me a third time, and it might stick. Okay, like I said, just a high-functioning retard, which is okay. I'm comfortable with that. You know what? I still haven't bothered to solder up that coax connector yet. You know, that one there, right there. I'm pretty comfortable. There's not a lot underneath here that can kill me. All the death is on Outside of the cabinet. And back here behind this wall. Instant death. Everything back here just tickles a long time until you die. So that's what I'm looking for. So when I asked, is it got bias flop? Is that means the tube, is it coming out of cutoff and is it actually going to amplification state? Which we have. So Bob, once you watch this video, you're gonna be like, oh, I know what to do. And you're gonna immediately jump on your voltmeter. He came back and says, oh yeah, when I go to the cabinet, I'm getting like 480 volts. I was like, what? No, what? It's impossible. It's not. I think he's got some latent static electricity or something that's in his shop that is causing him to have some very erroneous readings. That's the way it's supposed to meter, Bob. If you don't have that flop, you need to call me. We're going to go back and look at your bias, and then we're going to go look at this diode over here. Oh, come on. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's flip it over. Let's put some tubes in it. I bet you thought I forgot. Nah, it's just teasing you. All fixed. Now let's flip it over. So before we get carried away, I want to do a health and safety video here real quick. Guys, listen, I know I make this look really simple on camera. I had a situation present itself here. I cut out a lot of different things just for sheer boredom for you guys, so you don't have to watch me repetitively do the same things over and over and over and over again. Didn't happen to me. There's a gentleman who builds amplifiers who sold an amp to a guy. You're like, wow, way to be vague, BBI. Well, look, I don't want to punch anybody in the dick. I don't. It's not my place. And it's not the builder's fault. It's the actual guy that owns the amplifier's fault. 100%. Could it have been totally negated? If there were any kind of safety interlocks on the box, probably not, because the owner of the amplifier would have just bypassed them. It was a 3CX 1500 A7 amplifier. It was a new production. The guy got it, put the tube in it, plugged it in, tried to run it. It didn't run right. And he proceeded to take the lid off, and with it plugged in and on, with it running, started poking his hands around on the inside. Serious talk now, guys. The end result was, he's not dead, but he came really close. And the reason he's not dead is because he's got a pacemaker. The new auto pacemaker saved his life because it restarted his heart. The high voltage went in through his pointer finger, wrapped around to his next index finger, popped out through his wedding ring on this hand, and came out the backside of his palm. He has severe third-degree burns on all four of these fingers, across the inside through all of these joints, and then he has a hole that's on his palm. His entire hand and his entire forearm is second-degree burns. I'm not too sure how he come unhooked from it, because usually what happens with high voltage is you latch down and you're not able to let go because the muscles contract. Hence the joking term danger. Not only will this kill you, it will hurt the whole time while you're dying. He was conscious through this whole thing, you guys. His wife found him on the floor and had severe chest pains. He ended up in the hospital for 4 days. And when I heard about it, I told him, man, MF, you need to go buy a goddamn lottery ticket. There's enough current there to stop your heart instantly. And he's very lucky that He didn't have like another hand on the cabinet and then reach in there and touch something with this hand. And it crossed his heart and kill him. But still, it was enough to send him into cardiac arrest. And his pacemaker is what restarted his heart. So I'm pretty flippant when I'm on camera. I've said this many times, do not do what I do. I make this very interesting, like normal, in a normal situation. If we weren't trying to jazz this up a little bit for video, this whole thing would be closed up, and the only portion of this that would be open would be just here where I'm going to work. This is relatively low voltage to me, but it is pure death. There's death there. You don't know. You can't see it. It's like radiation. You can't see it, but it's going to make you dead. This will not hurt as much as radiation poisoning, but it's going to hurt a lot. I live, eat, breathe, die by this probe. I literally, before I flip the cabinet over and everything, hooking the independent voltmeter other than this pile of shit meter on the front, because I mean it's a meter, it's a good valid passive unit of measure. I want something independent that isn't based off of 40-year-old resistors to verify it's okay for me to go ahead and put my love beaters in this thing. I want that to be at zeros up here. Now I have chicken sticks of all kinds that you guys don't see because I put them away. This is what I call my 600 volt chicken stick, and that's only out here at the tip. Everything past that, I've got a stick of virgin Teflon. It's got a piece of copper that goes down the side of it, and there's about this much of a handle on it. And I'm constantly sticking in shit. So I can crowbar it to the edge of the cabinet, or I can actually have it clipped to the cabinet and stick it in on something. Okay, high voltage will kill you. This is no joke. So before I put my hands in anything, and it usually happens off camera, because it's not I guess I need to start doing it in every video to get it across to you guys. The reason I heard about it is because his buddy called me, and he says to me, his friend did this because he thought it was okay because the cabinets, I run these things with the cabinets open every once in a while on video. Right, but I don't stick my hands in there. That's the other thing, is there's no depth perception with the camera. I am 8 inches away from anything high voltage. I'm still like 3.5, 4 inches away from anything high voltage. The camera doesn't show field of depth. You'll never get me to stick my hands in here without isolating, shutting off, and neutralizing the circuit first. Identify, neutralize, and then when they taught us in line college is then you ground, which is usually a step I don't bother with, which is a step I should do. And what I mean by ground is they will literally have you take something that goes from the high voltage circuit back to the cabinet to neutralize the circuit while working inside of it. This shit will kill you deader than dead. It doesn't give a crap what color your skin is, doesn't give a shit how much money you make, doesn't care how much money you got in the bank, doesn't give a crap anything about you. It just wants to go to ground. It just wants to find a pathway through ground, and if that's through you, I hope you paid up at the local church and made sure to throw money in the plate, because you're going on to God. All right, let's do this. Okay, now that we've identified, neutralized, and ground, it's safe for us to go ahead and put our PP touchers in here. Let's go do some shit. So, that's not safe. Oh, come on, tighten up. Do Dad a favor and give me the love bolt. There we go. Okay, so we're going to get rid of the stock anode caps. Listen, guys, you're a fool if you don't go to rfjunk.com. I'm not sponsored by Chris. I've received nothing in any kind of monetary form from him in any way, shape, or form. It just makes a good product. Okay? You guys are silly if you have anything with a 3500Z in it and you don't have yourself a set of anode caps that are made by him. They work so much better. I've got a Henry that I keep saying, oh, it's coming up, it's coming up. where I'm going to do a comparison between a stock anode cap and his anode caps. He makes them for everything, you guys. Here, what is this, a 4CX 800, 400, whatever. I think it's an 800. He makes them for everything, you guys. Here's the one for the 3500Z, specifically for the sb220. He makes different ones depending on the style of Henry you have. Call him. Check it out, rfjunk.com. The reason I want to do a video on this in the Henry is because they're one of the few, them and the Drakes. Some of the Ameritrons, most of the Ameritrons, have got a little glass chimney that goes over the top of the tube and they're forced up air cooled. Hello? The only place the anode makes contact with the outside atmosphere is at that anode cap. So, side by side comparison with a FLIR to say, hey, look guys, look at how much better this works. Haven't had a chance to get there yet. So we're not going to slam this thing on and go right into signal operation, like we're not going to put power to it quite yet. I want to see what we got for zero signal first. Oh. You guys are brand new, straight from China. Okay. My slutty hose finally died. I dropped them here a couple months ago. I think I played them taps on YouTube, on Facebook one night. Facebook live feed of my tubes sitting there, one with a friggin' hole in the vacuum bell. And the other one, the filament fell out the bottom of it. I mean, literally, the filament in this thing is a little pink twisted piece of wire. If you look really close, you can see it hanging out the bottom like a screw. So here. Let's see, can we get that piece to rattle out? No. There's literally a hunk of filament floating around on the inside of this thing. It's sickening to me. These poor tubes have been through so much. It's probably been in 750, almost 800 amplifiers. Anyhow, quit crying, more work, less talk. So, let's see, let's grab our foot pedal. Foot pedal's hooked up, power's in the off position. All grounds have been removed from the cabinet. This is things I talk through all the time to myself. Parasitics are not touching anode cap. Okay, I feel comfortable. Proceed. Like they say in protonification, happy? Happy.
You happy?
Oh, I'm happy.
Here we go.
Okay. Health and safety video, by the way, by protonification. Nuclear power plants. They don't let me play with them yet. That kid's a genius. He got scooped up by somebody. Genius electrical engineer. He got scooped up by somebody, and they put him to work, and we haven't seen him on YouTube since. I don't blame him. This YouTube shtick is not that much fun. All right. Go back to CW Tune. Yeah, plate amper It's toast. You know, we're seeing our sag here. So we could grab up our ground lead and measure our plate amperage with a clip over amp ring, but I'm not going to bother with it. All right, let's verify voltage. 2044. So dropping 100 volts under zero signal. We're good. Okay. Let's let it bleed down, and then we can proceed forward. Now I know that the plate meter is kaput, but we're going to come back to that later because I have a feeling, I just call it an internal intuition of knowledge and knowing what's going to happen next, that here in the not too distant future, in about 10-20 minutes, I'm going to have to take the faceplate off anyhow, and I'm going to have to go in here and play with the 10 meter position just a little bit to get it to work the way it needs to work. Instead of taking the faceplate off twice, we're only going to take it off once. If that makes any sense. So let's start here. We'll set that knob to there. We're going to start at 5. We're going to turn the band knob to 80. Get the ICOM. No, that's 160 meters. Go to 80. We're going to go to AM. We're going to adjust our power out, put that out. It's right in the middle of the band. We're going to go to menu, meter. Okay. Because remember, if I don't show you this shit, the data that I'm about ready to show you is completely invalid, right? Right? So first things first, with the amplifier off, we're going to key through it. Low, 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 and low. Reflect. 5 watts and reflect, by the way. So we're looking good on the input side of things. So let's go over here. Let's validate this data. I'm going to work in a 1x scale, 1,000 watt slug and peak, 1,000 in average, and 5 watt slug and reverse, back from the bird, 10,000 watt dummy load. All right. Same as always, you guys. Remember, this is the hardest you'll ever be on your tubes. I need something to write down a cheat sheet for this guy. Here we go. This will work. Gotta go over here to get a pin. So let's see here. Tune load. $80, $40, $20, $15, and 10/11. Har har. Okay, so we're gonna start out on 80. Let's see, is our grid meter working? Grid meter is working. I'm good to go. Icon, we're gonna put it in sideband. Hello. 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 We are way out of tune, gentlemen. Hello. 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 Oh, grids are taking punishment. Hello. I'm not liking this. Hold on a second. I'm like, what the hell? I got the knobs I got everything over here in what would be normally 80, right? 80, if it's stock assembled, is always going to be between 4 and 6. And over here on the 80 meter bench is always going to be right about in the middle of the 80 meter band, right? Like when I look down in here, I'm like, what the hell is that? Oh, I'll take the capacitors and get 80. The capacitor is almost completely fully interleaved. So here we go now. So now we're going to put about 20 watts of power into it. That's better. Hello, audio. That's on AM with an ICOM hitting it. So it's getting like no input power. Hello. 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 All right, now the grids are down low. So let's go on up. We'll take that on up to 2x. Hello. 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 That is all she's going to give us. 1,300 watts with hello, 75 watts of drive. Hello, hello. Hello. Let's go look at our input SWR real quick. Hello, 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 hello. Everything's happy. Happy. Unfortunately, this is pointless. Where my knobs are at. 10 and we're 180 degrees out of sync. Literally. On both knobs. Okay. Let it bleed down. Start over. Start over. Got to do it right. If we're going to do it right. This knob is, this one here is glued on. Okay, so experience tells me that's going to be about 80. It's okay. It's okay. It's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. Zero. Ground. I'll grab. It's going to be okay. Stupid. Can take 2 goddamn seconds and freaking do it right. It's too tight. So I got 2 choices. Leave it alone, or break it, clean it off, charge the customer for a new knob. We'll leave it alone. Okay. Now, let's repeat that entire process all over again. Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Okay. So tune is at 10. Oh man. 10. 80's at 3. Okay. Continue on. I was freaking out for a hot minute. Let me show you. This is 40 meters by the way. Hello. Okay, they're 1200 watts. I'm thinking it should have changed because some of these, the way they tune them, you get a little bit lower response on 80, and then as we come through the arc, because remember this is a kit built amp, this wasn't a factory built amp, so you're going to have this bell curve kind of response, like it'll, 20 meters it'll put out vastly more than anything else, and it's going to taper off as you go towards 10 and taper off as you go towards 80. That's not the case. It just dawned on me, I don't have my power supplies on, so I'm running on battery power underneath the workbench for the bench radios, and I'm on 12 volts. Hello. Okay. Hello. 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 1 2 1 2 1 2. Much better. Hello. Hello. Now we're happiness. Okay, so our input tune is non-existent. It's perfectly flat. Look in here. Swirls are flat. Output power is good. Where I'm aiming is here. We're at 4, and at, I'd say that's about 50. Moving on. Ha-da-da, ha-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, 1200. Once again, now we're on 40 again. Hello, hello, hello. Good input signals. Good output power. Well, I've seen worse. I've dealt with worse than this. So we're going to put down 2.5. And over here we're going to call that, let's see, if that's 50, we'll say 60. All right, 15, here we come. I have to keep reminding myself I'm on a 110 outlet. Although it's a committed 15 amp 110 outlet that nothing else is on, still on a 110 outlet. Man, by not being able to have a plate amp meter kind of sucks. But I got my grid meter, and that's all I really care about. We're going to call that 70. Call that 1.5. Okay. Hello. Hello, 1 2 1 2. Come up here real quick. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Internal bridge is happy. Good to go. Moving to 10 meters. Yay, 10 meters. Okay, off the key. Foot pedal in. We get to take the faceplate off. Whoopee. Okay, so here we are on 10 meters. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. And we'll go up here to the hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello, hello, hello. We'll look in here. Oh, oh, oh. Here, bump it up. Looking here, and we're also looking here. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello, hello, hello. We're done with this. This is done. We're done. Okay, so here we are again. We're going to demonstrate maximum power. Hello, hello. About 210 watts of drive. And we're in 1X. Which requires me walking back and forth around the tripod here. God, I miss using that little camera sometimes. Okay, so about 210 watts of drive. Hello, hello. Disappears. Exactly what it should. So we're going to go to 2X. So full deflection on the meter is 2,000 watts peak. Hello. Please note our base dead Q in 1X was directly on the 20. It's directly in halfway. So 100, 200 watt dead key. Hello. Gone. Okay. We're going to go down to 5X. So we're looking at the middle scale, 10, 20, 30. We're adding 2 zeros. Okay. Hello. Hello. 1 2. Hello. Hello. I think 2,500 watts out of an sb220 with no face on it. I think we're good. The 10 meter position is repaired. And it works everywhere. Everywhere. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, so now what I have to do, I'll just leave this in line, is I have to build a plate ampere meter. I found another set of meters just chilling on the workbench over here that a guy sent in. He sent them to me because he said, I thought, you know, he goes, man, I'll watch all your sb220 videos and I just love them, and they're a little bit rough, but if the meter movements worked, I got replacement face plates. Neither one of these are any good. I mean, the bodies of them are in okay shape. We'll figure that out. But the meter movements themselves, they move freely, but you can't read any resistance across the coils. So they are kaputs. Let's kill my peak kit. So now the $64 million question is, out of that box of meters that I had, can I take the meter guts out, use this face plate, meter guts, and this back plate, pardon me, this one, and make one good meter? Because the plate meter is junk on this amp. Wish me luck. We're good. Come on. Good. Oh, jeez. God, give yourself a heart attack, dude. Okay. All right. a shame. Well, I'll save it for the housing. Okay, let's try this again. By the power of Grayskull here. No. Okay. By the power of Rick James, bitch. All right, let's see here. Okay, so Rick James is the key there. All right. Let's see here. By the power of Rick James. Okay. Set that at 0. I'll index this son of a bitch straight down. Okay. I'm currently taking donations, by the way. If you got meters or knobs, faceplates, labels, or just a junk sb220 you don't want to have sitting around no more and you actually want to see it to go to a good cause, call me. I will probably pay shipping. I am going to ask you for pictures, but I mean, free is free, so I'm not going to kick a gift horse in the mouth, but please, I beg you, amateur radio CB enthusiasts out there, if you've got one of these, I don't care if it doesn't have the transformers in it. If it does, it's a big major plus to us up here. Please, I beg you, if you're not interested in getting it repaired and it's taking up space, I know it's a big ask. I know I'm going to get quite a few people that laugh at me. I don't care. I'd rather make the ask and get than not make the ask and never get. Please, guys. Seriously, I need parts. Every single one of these things I've got to do something to. I've yet to have one come in here where I hadn't had to rip part of it apart and do something to it. So I need parts. So if you're watching this and you've got one sitting there at your house you're not going to put the energy into to restore or have fixed, please keep me in mind up here. I'm serious. I don't care if it's a giant tetanus shot. I will probably take it. All right, let's put this back together. I'm currently taking donations, by the way. If you got meters or knobs, faceplates, labels, or just a junk sb220 you don't want to have sitting around no more and you actually want to see it to go to a good cause, call me. I will probably pay shipping. I am going to ask you for pictures, but I mean, free is free, so I'm not going to kick a gift horse in the mouth, but please, I beg you, amateur radio CB enthusiasts out there, if you've got one of these, I don't care if it doesn't have the transformers in it. If it does, it's a big major plus to us up here. Please, I beg you, if you're not interested in getting it repaired and it's taking up space, I know it's a big ask. I know I'm going to get quite a few people that laugh at me. I don't care. I'd rather make the ask and get than not make the ask and never get. Please, guys. Seriously, I need parts. Every single one of these things I've got to do something to. I've yet to have one come in here where I hadn't had to rip part of it apart and do something to it. So I need parts. So if you're watching this and you've got one sitting there at your house you're not going to put the energy into to restore or have fixed, please keep me in mind up here. I mean, I'm serious. I don't care if it's a giant tetanus shot. I will probably take it. All right, let's put this back together. At some point or another, somebody has spilled something on this. Something like coffee. Something had sugar in it, I can tell you that. It's okay. I went in and I cleaned out around the band switch. And I really don't want to disassemble the band switch to get in behind the band switch, but I got that all cleaned out around in here. Let's get around the switches all clean. 'Cause I'm pretty sure if somebody else comes along, I'll be the last one in here for the next probably decade. Okay. Shoot a little bit of wax on top of this transformer to keep it from rusting. Oh, it's been the theme of my day. Oh, Lord. God, that has been the theme of my day. Okay. Now I need the WD-40 silicone penetrating, drying, doesn't attract dust. No. Water resistant lubrication. Call this dry silicone. It's really kind of interesting. You spray it on a painted surface, it'll make it look wet for about 10 minutes and then it dries. And it's just as slick as a baby's butt. It's like, ooh, I like that shit. All right, now I gotta wash down the tuners, which means somewhere over here, where is my crate of cleaning chisholm? Oh, this gets so annoying. Let me find my cleaning spray. At some point or another, somebody has spilled something on this. Something like coffee. Something had sugar in it, I can tell you that. It's okay. I went in and I cleaned out around the band switch. And I really don't want to disassemble the band switch to get in behind the band switch, but I got that all cleaned out around in here. Let's get around the switches all clean. Because I'm pretty sure if somebody else comes along, I'll be the last one in here for the next probably decade. Okay. Shoot a little bit of wax on top of this transformer to keep it from rusting. Oh, it's been the theme of my day. Oh, Lord. God, that has been the theme of my day. Okay. Now I need the WD-40 silicone penetrating, drying, doesn't attract dust. No. Water resistant lubrication. Call this dry silicone. It's really kind of interesting. You spray it on a painted surface, it'll make it look wet for about 10 minutes and then it dries. And it's just as slick as a baby's butt. It's like, ooh, I like that shit. All right, now I gotta wash down the tuners, which means somewhere over here, where is my crate of cleaning chisholm? Oh, this gets so annoying. Let me find my cleaning spray. I want to say it's coffee. It's too sticky for that. Let's go in here and get the jizz out of the front side of this thing for the most part. Clean out underneath the tuner. See, I could spend a month cleaning this thing, and in 6 weeks it's going to look just the same. This is really not that bad. This amp is really not in that bad a condition. Okay. Let's go over here. Alright. Without banging my tubes. Clean the jizz out of that back corner and then that back corner. Primary thing is I wanted to get the tuners. That thing is stiff. That's better than what it was though. Oh, there it goes. Oh yeah. Here we go. Come on, baby. Come on. Oh yeah, girl. You gotta keep the tuners fairly clean, because if not, as you're going in and out of resonance when you're trying to find stuff, once you get this back, the CBers are notoriously famous for this. they'll take this load tuner and if they don't have it set right, it'll arc on them. So the CBeers mentality is not to question the arc, it's to just accept the fact that the arc is present and then put a bigger tuner in there, or rip the whole thing apart and change the stacking of the tuner. All you gotta do is change how it's tuned. It'll stop arcing. What do I know? I say that tongue-in-cheek because when I was growing up, all the old-timers would tell me, Duck Adamses and guys, they pointed that out to me. Like, there's just too much capacitance in that load. So I wish I could have shown you the video that's supposed to, the amp I worked on yesterday. It totally CBeer. Ain't nothing against that, because that's the only place I talk. I don't bother with the other stuff no more at all. Even though I think I'm gonna go get my commercial radio phone license, but I'm thinking about becoming a VE too, just for fun. I think it'd be interesting. There's a group of us. We're tired of driving all the way across town to go have our friends that we've mentored into the amateur community test. So that means a couple of us need to get our extra classes, I guess. Whatever. So we'll see. See what we choose to do with it. It's also through the local club, which some of us have issues with. Not me, but some other parties in my club. My little club of guys, they have issues with our local amateur club here and some of the things they've done. I'm like, I don't care, it's 2 meters. It's just 2 meters, guys, chill out. It's not that big of a deal, it's just radio. Anywho, I did an sb220 where I put a vacuum tuner in there, and I said, look, it'll never arc again, ever. Fixed, problem solved. And I had this old boy call me. He goes, well, let's have a little chat about this, young man. I was like, okay. So I put on my listening shoes and I shut my mouth. And I sat there and I listened to him about it. I said, all right. So then I came out here and I loaded one up, ran it and got it to arc, and then immediately shut the box off. Hooked up my antenna analyzer and went and closed the relay and went, whoa. Emulated load from the tubes to ground and hooked up my analyzer and went, whoa, he's right. That little extra kick of output power, if you don't bother looking at your grid meter, because the grid meter is laid over here in a corner. Ding. That little extra kick, that like 5 extra watts that those guys are actually trying to hunt by running that load knob all the way over there. Come find out, it's junk. Start looking at the spectrum analyzer, it's like, oh wow, okay. So it's making all kinds of weird harmonics in here, where it's showing up as arc in there. It's out of tune. You change the resonance of the network and it goes away. It's amazing. It's a miracle. It's called science. Winning all day, every day. Awesome. So the question is, do we index this back to factory specs? Or since we're sitting directly in the middle of the 80 meter band, this points at 80 meters? Or do we re-index it so it points at 10? And then we'd re-index this at 5. Okay. For factory specs, it's going to point directly at 5, and then this sits and points directly at the 8 and the 0 for factory specs. Or I index this for 10. We got to start at 80 because it's only a loss of capacitance as we go forward. I learned that from my good friend 7. Old Mike Beaverton. Man, that guy's got a smooth voice. Well, you know, we sit way back out here in the woods. We make our iced tea out of corn squeezins and sugar. That guy's smart. Anywho, he's the one that told me that the lower you go, the more capacitance you're going to have in your stereo. And it's true. Every amp I've ever worked on has been laid out that way. God, I'm tired. Let's see, when did I start this morning? Early. What time is it now? 2 in the morning. I'm going to get 4 hours, 5 hours of sleep. Okay, we're going to re-index at 80, and I'll just create a new cheat sheet. We're not going to waste everybody's life doing this on video. And this is where I'm going to cut this off, because I got to start rendering this video. I got to do it on my old laptop. And it's going to take, probably won't see this video drop until Wednesday evening sometime. So, guys, appreciate you tuning in. The only thing I'm going to do now is pull the tubes, wipe out the inside after I get everything re-indexed and build this guy a new roadmap. You're going to get a brand new knob because the old one is junk. I had to break it to get it to come off. So I'll save it for the bezel ring, the bezel inlay, which, oh, by the way, I got a guy that can do custom ones of these now. He can do custom bezel inserts, and you can put your handle on it or your call sign or whatever you want. I'm not selling those. I'm not receiving any donations from that guy. I'm just saying I got a guy might be willing to do 1 or 2 of those for me for a small nominal fee to his pocketbook. And no, it's nobody I found off the usual scumbag internet. So it's a local guy. I'm telling the dude the other day, I got a guy for everything. I'm gonna try anyhow. That's it. This thing's thoroughly gone through top to bottom. Everything works perfectly as it should. And put some knobs on it and I'm done. I got no more of their armor to put on it. There's a lid piece that goes over the top of this and another little piece of aluminum that goes over the top. I was trying to explain that to the owner. He didn't understand what I was talking about. He just said all he's got is the outer armor that goes over the outside. So, clean amp. Good to go. Gentlemen, I'm going to bounce. Appreciate y'all tuning in and watching. Believe me when I tell you, there's more of these to come. Like, many, 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 many more of these to come. That's a tough one. The one I'm doing tomorrow is the full Harbach show trophy whore. It's no joke. It's getting a ton of shit done in it. And then directly after that, I do believe is a 3-tuber. If I'm not mistaken. It's a little bit heavily modified. It's a mono band job. And then the one on Friday, it's the forklift boy. Best way to put it. Guys, I gotta run. Appreciate every single one of you. Big shout out to Siglent, Excess Power, Bird, Coaxial Dynamics, every single one of you guys. And my big buddy Zane that stepped in and hit a home run for me and is willing to loan me his network analyzer for a little bit until my replacement shows up from China. Even though I got the other one working today. He didn't even know that was going to happen. He just literally picked it up off his workbench, put it in a box and sent it to me. Those are the kind of people I like to have around me. The guys that answer the phone whenever I call, because they know when I call, I'm not called to bullshit. It's about business. So, I'm out. Gentlemen, good night. We'll see you. Bump bump from the biggest duck in Idaho. Bye.